Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kelly Troutman and I am a certified hand therapist. In today's video, I am going to be answering some rapid fire questions, I guess. It probably won't be rapid because you know how I like to chat, about surviving as a fieldwork student or a new grad in hand therapy. So that's what we're gonna do. So I have a list of questions that I'm going to be trying to answer. I'm going to try to get through as many as I can in this time. And I'm going to try to answer in the shortest amount of words possible. So we're just trying to give like tips or tricks or advice about being a new grad or about being a fieldwork student, because it's been a little while since I've been in your shoes. I was a fieldwork student 4 years ago. I finished grad school 4 years ago, so I was brand new and getting started. So it's, I like to think that I've grown a little bit, but I still have fond memories of how difficult that time was. And I would have loved to have advice or tips at that time. So that's what this video is. Hand therapy week is winding down. This is how we're bringing it to a close with a bang. Okay, so we're just going to kind of start rolling through these questions. The first one is studying, how to study while you're doing your fieldwork or as a new grad. So my biggest tip for you is check out Ali Abdal on YouTube. I will link his YouTube channel here. I wish that I knew how to study the way that he recommends when I was in fieldwork and in school and everything. He talks all about spaced repetition and active recall. Check that out. It will help you so much. Also, put your phone away. Set a timer on your phone for like an hour or something and put your phone away so that you physically would have to walk to get it. Turn it on silent. Don't let anyone interrupt you. For that hour, you do not touch your phone. When the timer goes off, take a break. I can only study for like 45 minutes to an hour before I need at least 10-15 minutes. So give yourself that time. Don't try to cram all the way through it, but know that we're all different. So figure out what schedule works best for you and stick with it. Okay, so the next question is about balance, how to achieve a life, work, school balance. Boy, do I wish I knew the answer. No, in all seriousness, I think to achieve balance, know that we have different times in our lives where we have different priorities. At some point in your life, you are going to make studying or work or school more of a priority in your life. You're going to let other things kind of take a second or take a step back from. So friends or doing things that you want to do, sometimes we have to kind of take a step back from those things and focus on what's more important at the time. So be kind to yourself, give yourself breaks, and know that it's not permanent. It won't last forever. Okay, how to make a good impression on your supervisor. Ooh, that's a good one. Off the top of my head, don't ask every single question that pops into your head. Make a list of questions or to kind of take a mental note of questions as they come up. Look into it, do a little bit of research on your own, and then ask your supervisor. That way you can actually make it more of a discussion and not just a, please give me the answer, thank you. Take initiative, get a sense of the flow of the clinic and then figure out ways that you can offer to help or kind of offer to step in without having to be asked. Come in early, clean things for them, offer to do modalities if they're comfortable with that, or offer to just help them in different ways that you see fit. That always looks really good and is just appreciated by anybody anywhere, even if you're a new grad, even if you're tons of experience. Take a look around at the surroundings and see for different ways or opportunities that you can help out or you can lend support in every situation. And I think also just make sure that you show your passion for the field too, and that's true of anything that you do. You want to convey how passionate and how much you care about what you're doing, and people will respect you a whole lot more and take you a whole lot more seriously too. So definitely don't be afraid to show why you're passionate about what you're doing. Okay, and another supervisor related question, how to deal with a bad fieldwork supervisor. I'm not totally convinced that this is a thing. I think that it's possible, I guess, but I've never heard of anybody that's had a negative experience with a supervisor that they would classify them as a bad supervisor. But irregardless, I think, yeah, that's a tricky one. I think your field work is what you make of it, not what your supervisor gives to you. So change your expectations, first of all. Everybody has a different learning style and everybody has a different teaching style. And two people might not exactly mesh with their learning and teaching styles. So change your expectations, be forgiving and kind. And if it's not a situation where you feel like the person can teach you in the way that you need to be taught, then first of all, tell them or ask them, kind of have that direct communication of saying like, hey, this is kind of how I learn. Is there a way that we can kind of compromise, or that, you can provide me support in this specific way? But don't expect them to change themselves to give you the experience you crave, right? Like, you need to figure out a way that you can make the most of the experience and still learn as much as you want to learn and deserve to learn. But take it upon yourself. Don't expect that someone else is going to give you that experience that you crave or the learning that you crave. You have to, kind of take it upon yourself, I guess. Is that helpful? I don't know. Let's see what else here. What about, this is a good one too. So something we learn about in school a lot is like therapeutic use of self, or kind of that self-alliance. So this question is like how to make your patients feel comfortable and like trust you. And I would encourage you to go back to that idea of self-alliance, therapeutic alliance and kind of use of self. So make them feel comfortable. Put yourself in their shoes. If you were a patient coming into the clinic, what would make you feel comfortable? I think small talk is a really good place to start. So, asking them how their day was, what they have planned for the rest of the day or the weekend, talk about the weather. And I think offering some personal details about yourself that you feel comfortable sharing as well is also a really helpful way to bond with people and communicate. Offering a little bit of yourself to them, a little bit of personal information, they're going to trust you more and kind of feel more comfortable with you as well. So like, I personally don't give away a lot of private details about my life, but I'm pretty open with patients. I'm comfortable with talking about certain aspects of my life or different things that happened to me. If I had a crazy experience at the grocery store, I'll tell people about that, whatever. Just give them something, kind of make them feel comfortable, make them feel like it's a safe space. And that will help. It goes a long, long way with that. I think to just come at them with a point of empathy and always actively listen to them. Make eye contact, kind of nod, give them nonverbal and verbal communication that you're listening to them, that they make them feel heard, because that's so important. A lot of times people are just kind of brushed off. They feel kind of bustled around this, the medical system, and they're bounced back and forth from doctor to doctor, or if they're, dealing with nurse case managers or whatever, their workplace, they sometimes feel like they're not being heard. And so that's the most valuable thing I think you can offer, is just validating their feelings and validating that they have, this perception of their injury or whatever's going on with them. Make them feel heard and make them feel valid and valued. And you can't go wrong there. Okay, and always a popular question, how to find a hand therapy job as a new grad or get experience in hand therapy. My number one tip is probably not going to be popular, but here it is, because we're all about honesty here. Be flexible. I was willing to move pretty much anywhere in the US to get a good hand therapy job. I looked for work for about 3.5 months. I interviewed for a lot of places. I was doing phone interviews and in-person interviews. It took me a really long time to kind of find the right fit, and I did have to move to find it at that time. And for me, that opened up a huge world of opportunities that I never would have had if I hadn't been open to that. I know for some people, they have family, or they have a spouse or a partner that they, can't move necessarily, but everybody has different circumstances. I'm just telling you kind of my opinion on the matter. If you really want to do something and you are committed to it, you will do whatever it takes to make that goal a reality, or to achieve that goal. So that's just, tip number one. I think also make sure that you show your passion for the field. You should think through why you want to be a hand therapist, and know that beforehand, because they might ask you, but you need to think through the reasoning so that you can express your interest in the field, because it is a complicated profession. It's not something that you can just go to work and then go home and, go on your merry way. It's something that takes a commitment to learning, and a commitment to continued growth and education. And all of that comes from you. Nobody else is telling you to go get that information, or to go learn these new techniques or tips, or different, protocols, etc., to provide the best care for your patient. So just show that you're passionate about it, and that you are willing to learn, and you're willing to put in the time that it takes to learn. And that will help you so much, and impress people that you're interviewing with too. I think it can also help if you are active in the hand therapy community, and you are, both virtually and locally. Get on Facebook, get on LinkedIn. There are a ton of pages or groups, ton of therapists out there, ton of surgeons out there. Try and get as much information about the field as you can, even while you're looking for a job. You want to be constantly learning and kind of seeing what new information is out there. You can use it as a way to kind of network that sounds bad, but you can kind of network with other therapists, and you start to recognize people's names, the people that are really active in the community and passionate about what they do. And that does stand out. I know it might feel like it doesn't, but it does. Ooh, this is a hard one. What to do when a patient brings up a sensitive topic. So something like political statements, or about religion, or because it can be very uncomfortable at times. And you have to also think about, like, you are there for their benefit. You are there to help them heal, both psychologically, socially, and also physically, right? So we have to be there to support our patients, but we also have to make sure that other people in the workplace aren't being offended or kind of discriminated against. So it can be really challenging. I think try to change the subject if you can, or kind of, prevent it. See, you can sometimes tell when some of these things are going to start coming out. So if you can kind of steer the conversation in a different direction, that is always helpful. You can always just be honest with the person too. Be respectful always, but you could say, thank you for feeling like you can share that with me. I value that you're able to tell me this information, but I don't feel comfortable discussing it in this environment because it's not appropriate in terms of, what we're trying to do here. So something like that. Don't say exactly like that, but, play with it a little bit. Just try and tell them, hey, I hear you. I respect you. This is okay that you've told me that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I don't feel comfortable to continue this conversation, and kind of leave it at that. Most people will really respect that. There's not many people who will continue to kind of instigate something. They usually are kind of like, oh, I didn't realize, that that's maybe not the most appropriate topic of conversation. But just make sure that everybody in the environment is comfortable at all times. It's a good rule of thumb. How to avoid burning out. Give yourself breaks. Nobody learns everything overnight. You're continually learning. Life is on a spectrum. Knowledge is on a spectrum. You will continue to grow for your entire life. And be forgiving of yourself, be kind to yourself, and give yourself breaks. And I think taking time for yourself is also really important. So figure out what's important to you, take some time for it every week, and don't cancel plans on yourself. Never flake out on yourself. You can flake on other people when you need to, but always make sure you have time to take care of you and what's important to you, and that will be really helpful too. Even when you're super busy, even if you can only give yourself an hour a week, that is fine. Just make sure you give yourself something so that you don't go completely crazy. Okay, how to prevent injuries in a field that is so hands-on and so manual based. So again, in hand therapy, we're not necessarily like lifting patients, so we don't have that body strain to worry about, but a lot of our manual treatments are going to cause strain on the body. So the biggest thing is practice what you preach, right? You are experts on ergonomics. You might not think it, but you are. You know the way to think to kind of develop these proper positioning, activity modification. Make sure you're being safe with your body. You're using the bigger joints, the bigger muscles, rather than, doing all this work with your thumbs or your fingertips. Prevention is the best method. When you notice soreness, take care of it. Don't just ignore it, which is what I usually do. Put ice on it, have a coworker massage it, use one of your massage tools, do modalities on yourself. You have all the tools right at your fingertips. It's just up to you to use them. Take care of your body because you want to be doing this for a long time. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your patients. Coming up with creative exercises or activities, I think first and foremost, go back to patient-centered treatment. Figure out what's important to them, design exercises that simulate that, or you can even, kind of talk through or even use the activity potentially as an exercise or activity that you do in the clinic. If you are working with other therapists, be sneaky and nosy and look around and see what kind of exercises they do, because everyone has different thinking patterns and they'll develop different exercises than you would think of if you're working alone in a clinic by yourself. Go to the internet, LinkedIn, Facebook. I am telling you, follow these other therapists out there. There are tons of good ideas on the internet, on YouTube, on Facebook, everywhere. You can find them, you just have to know where to look. So be creative. Don't think traditionally always. How to conduct a efficient initial evaluation or assessment. Take the first 5 to 10 minutes and let them tell you their story. Let them tell you what it feels like, how long it's been going on, how the injury happened, what the pain feels like, their perception of it, anything that you think might be helpful. Let them talk, let them guide you. Don't ask, is it painful? Ask open-ended questions like, how does it feel? Are there activities that are aggravating? Are there activities or things that make it feel better? Have you tried anything at home to make it feel better? Ask all these open-ended kind of questions and you'll get better information. Then you want to do your measurements, range of motion, strength, get anything out of the way that you need to get out of the way, and then do your special tests because that'll usually hurt them the most. So kind of save that for the end part so you get better movement and strength measurements usually. Tell them what to expect, what the plan of care is going to be. Ask them what their goals are, kind of talk with them about what realistic goals are. Figure out what's important to them so you can develop a treatment plan that they'll be committed to. And then make them feel good. Whether you have time for manual treatment that day or not, give them a hot pack. Put them on a fluido machine. Dip them in paraffin wax. If you have a tech, have the tech do some ultrasound on them. Make them feel good. Give them a taste of what they can feel and what they can benefit out of therapy. Next question. When to discharge a patient. So that's the grand question. When a patient is starting to plateau and you haven't seen any change, when they tell you that they don't have any change and despite all your best efforts, they don't seem to be making the effort at home, when insurance doesn't give them any more visits, obviously, when you feel like you're chasing symptoms, you make one part better and then this part suddenly starts hurting and then this part suddenly starts hurting and this part, send them back to the doctor, advise them like therapy isn't forever. How can we get you to the point where you feel comfortable managing these things at home? Because it's not something where they get massaged every single week for the rest of their lives. No, they need to learn how to take care of their injury and be empowered to take care of it on their own and manage their own symptoms. If their pain seems out of proportion, nothing seems to help, they're pain-centric, they are so incredibly in pain that you can't do anything to calm them down, see if you can refer them back to their doctor so that they can get a referral to like a pain management program, or don't be afraid to talk about different services too that might help them. If you feel like it's something where they need a pain management program where it's multidisciplinary and they can get, psychological help, physical therapy, doctors, medical management, nutrition, all that kind of stuff. Don't be afraid to explore alternative medicines or treatments. So, recommend them like, hey, have you looked into some alternative pain management ideas like acupuncture, like looking at your diet and figuring out what triggers you? There's so many different options out there, and you can kind of encourage them, not necessarily refer them, but kind of put that idea in their head, empower them to do some research on it, and figure out what they think that might be the next best step for them. Last question, how to stay calm under pressure. That's a good one. Take 3 deep breaths when you feel stressed. You can close your eyes, take three deep breaths, and it will help slow everything down. It will calm you down. It sounds crazy, but it does actually really help in times of chaos or stress. Just know that you're going to get through it. No matter what happens, no matter how crazy and terrible your day was, you're going to get through to the other side, and everything will end up working out somehow, even if it wasn't in the way that you wanted it to. Just be okay with it. Some days get crazy and sometimes things happen. They're not always in our control. So the sooner you can embrace that, the sooner you will feel less stressed out by what you do. And this isn't necessarily like how to not feel pressure or how not to get stressed by pressure, but like, don't let your patient see the stress on your face. Keep it behind the scenes, for lack of a better word, because people are there to heal. They're not there to take on your burden in any way. We want to be there to support them, to help them heal and recover from their injuries. We want to be there to support them psychologically, emotionally, physically, everything, right? We don't want them to see that you're stressed out, that you're feeling, because fear spreads, essentially, is what I'm saying, right? It's like a crying baby on an airplane. Like, one baby cries and then everyone feels stressed by that emotional reaction. Humans are very perceptive creatures. We can sense when something is not okay. So try not to let it show. Not saying that you always have to be like, everything's great. You don't have to be fake with people, but you shouldn't go up to the patient and be like, everything's so busy today. I just don't know how I'm going to get through it, because that's going to impact them in a negative way. Don't ever try to burden people with especially patients, don't try to burden patients with your stresses. It's not going to help you, and it's not going to help them either. It's just like a ripple effect. We did it. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope that some of the tips were helpful. Thank you for sticking with me through all of this rambling. I know it wasn't exactly rapid fire, but it was fun and we learned some information. If you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer in a future video or by comment, please let me know. Comment below. I'd love to do some like question answers from you in the future. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.